118, 119. Oh, hello there. You just caught me counting down the days until Marvel's Spider-Man is released on PS4. Not long to go now. But if you're anything like me, you've already burnt your way through God of War and you're wondering, what can I play next? Well, worry not, webheads, because your old pal Panels to Pixels is here to give you 5 games to keep those idle thumbs of yours busy between now and September 7th. Roll the thing, do the thing. Hey everyone, welcome back to Panels to Pixels. My name is Josh, and to the surprise of literally nobody, we're going to start this list with the godfather of all Spider-Man games. That's right, it's 2004's Spider-Man 2, and I promise they won't all be this obvious. Much revered for its in-depth yet fun web-swinging mechanic, and novel for the time open world, Spider-Man 2 is the yardstick by which all other Spider-Man games are measured. This game recently beat out over 80 other Spidey titles and was crowned the best Spider-Man game of all time in Chris Baker's Spider Madness tournament, absolutely running away with the popular vote. And maybe, like me, this isn't your personal favourite Spider-Man game of all time, but you cannot deny its influence. The web-swinging physics and open-world traversal in this game pretty much wrote the book for almost every Spider-Man title that has followed. It was the first to give us a full-size Manhattan to explore, the first where your webs actually stick to the buildings, and the first that allows you to save that kid's balloon in a side mission that isn't at all infuriating and won't have you throwing your PS2 controller at your own face. Okay, forget that last one, but it's fair to say that without Spider-Man 2 to lead the way, Insomniac Spider-Man would probably be a very different game. So, if you want to see how the new game stacks up against the undefeated champ, you had better play Spider-Man 2 before September 7th. Aside from their earlier work developing the Spyro the Dragon franchise, Insomniac are probably best known for their Ratchet Clank series, which received a kind of soft reboot/remake of the first game in 2016. If you want to check up on Insomniac's credentials for working on a AAA Spidey game, then look no further than this PS4 exclusive title. It's one of the best looking games on the system, with tight controls and incredibly fun weapon-based combat. Now, we already know that Spider-Man will have a gadget wheel and levelling system that allows players to customise their suits and gear, and this is something that Insomniac have been successful with since the very first Ratchet & Clank installment back in 2002. From the Sheepinator, a gun that turns enemies into, well, sheep, to the totally overpowered Rhino, which wreaks total devastation and, once unlocked, allows the game to be completed in a mere couple of hours. This progression system and gadget wheel mechanic was also carried through to Insomniac's Xbox One exclusive Sunset Overdrive from 2014. But if you want to start getting creative with upgrading gear and taking down enemies with quirky gadgets before you head into Spider-Man's New York City, I highly recommend checking out this lively action platformer. For this next item on the list, I'm cheating a bit by picking the Batman Arkham series of games. Although if I had to pick just one to play to prime you for Spider-Man, it would probably be Arkham City. From the recent Spider-Man gameplay footage that we got, it should be obvious why the Arkham games are on this list. The first game, Arkham Asylum, totally broke the mold for superhero games by innovating with new mechanics and legitimising the genre by respecting its comic book source material. That game's sequel, Arkham City, only refined the formula by making it bigger, more visually impressive, and offering an open world area of Gotham City in which to stalk your prey. We know that Insomniac have taken cues from Rocksteady's massively influential Arkham combat, with the ability to build up a power meter, perform finishing moves, and incorporate gadgets into an already varied fight styles. Although it's good to see that, true to the character, Spider-Man's combat has less focus on blocking and countering and takes a more acrobatic and at times airborne approach. We were also promised an opportunity to slow things down in certain enemy encounters in the Spidey title, allowing the player to be more strategic and cerebral. It looks like there are sequences in the game that allow for taking out an enemy without alerting others, and a, dare I say, stealthy approach? The way that we have seen the webhead zipping from perch to perch to set traps and loom over enemies should be instantly recognisable to anybody who has played an Arkham game. So, if you want to get more familiar with this style of gameplay and check out the series that made people sit up and start taking comic book games more seriously, look no further than these butt-kicking Batman games. If you've got a PS4, and let's face it, if you're excited for Marvel's Spider-Man then you probably do, I recommend picking up the Return to Arkham set, which packs remastered versions of the first 2 and objectively best games in the Arkham series, plus all their respective DLC. During the recent Game Informer coverage of Insomniac's Spider-Man, there were some comparisons made between the way players build lines and perform acrobatic stunts while traversing to the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series of games. The game's creative director, Brian Intihar, revealed a focus on momentum and flow in the way that Spidey web swings and parkours his way across the map. And it seems that through just a few simple button combinations, players are able to chain together expressive and fluid arrays of motion. Le parkour, oui oui. What am I doing? This isn't in the script. This kind of timing and rhythmic flow are at the heart of the Tony Hawk's games, and what better pick for this list than arguably the best in the series and one of my personal favourite games of all time, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Also, you can unlock and play as Spider-Man in this game, so, you know, sick. Just as it's possible to spend hours idly web-swinging around the city in games like Spider-Man 2, Ultimate Spider-Man, and hopefully Spider-Man on PS4, there is unlimited fun to be had just free skating around the different areas in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Chaining combos together, hitting a handrail into a manual, then launching yourself off a vert ramp. Again, the simplicity of the controls is key here, allowing for a satisfying pick-up and play experience. Anybody can be a pro skater with this game, but true mastery comes with practice and dedication. This is the sort of in-depth gameplay we're all hoping for from Insomniac's title. Something where you can pull off a certain move and actually be like, whoa.
Did I do that?
And the answer is yes. Yes, you did. You bloody legend. The final title on our list is a game which has all the elements of a perfect Spider-Man game. A wisecracking superpowered protagonist, a beautifully rendered open world city that makes full use of the PS4's capabilities, and a range of upgradable abilities that allow for creative and customizable combat and traversal. In infamous Second Son, you play as Delsin Rowe, a 24-year-old delinquent voiced by Troy Baker. He's like the love child of Nathan Drake and Peter Parker, except even more obnoxious than that already sounds. Seriously, Delsin is firing out so many sassy quips it would even make Joss Whedon blush. It's like they based his entire character around the smug DreamWorks face. I guess what I'm saying here is that he's an insufferable prick. But look beyond that, and what you have is a colourful action game with varied combat that truly makes you feel like a superhero. Using your powers to leap over your enemies or taking down the destructible environments by shooting beams of energy is truly thrilling, and it gives me some serious Hulk Ultimate Destruction vibes. On top of that, you also get a gorgeously detailed realisation of Seattle, with particularly dreamy lighting and particle effects, as well as a morality system that adds replay value. Incidentally, for a long time before it was announced that Insomniac would be handling a new Spider-Man game, it was rumoured that Sucker Punch, the developers behind the infamous series, would be the ones working with Marvel to produce a Spidey title. Anyway, this is a game that I would recommend to any PS4 owner, but if you're a Spider-Man fan and you're looking for some superhero games to play to while away the lonely months between now and September, infamous Second Son is a no-brainer. So that was 5 games you should play to prepare for Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4. Or, you know, you could just keep playing hundreds of hours of Fortnite like I'm probably going to do. Either way, I'd love to know your thoughts on these games or if you have any other recommendations, so why not join the conversation by leaving a comment below. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more stuff like this, then you should definitely subscribe to Panels to Pixels, give that bell icon a little ring-a-ding-ding, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!